All right, guys, welcome back to Buy the Ugly House. I'm here with Kip Robinson today. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Dude, I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, I feel like you and I have a very similar philosophy on a few things. Like the name of the podcast, right, is Buy the Ugly House.
Right.
And we were kind of talking about this earlier, but like I go on and on about this. You know, when I'm working with a buyer, my goal is to find them like the least expensive house that they'll be happy with.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, you know, we want to buy something that, you know, maybe is cosmetically ugly, right? Because other buyers aren't looking at it. They can get a better deal,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they can create equity for themselves.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're a home inspector.
That's true.
Yeah. And I mean, I pretty much, I try to always recommend you. You've probably inspected at least 100 houses for my clients at this point.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just in the last couple of years. And you've definitely saved my clients from buying properties that they probably shouldn't. And you've also given us a lot, you know, other clients a lot of ammunition to be able to negotiate better deals for themselves after we're already under contract.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what we hope to do.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't get totally emotionally invested in it. We just present the facts and try to help them as much as we can. So glad that works out.
Yeah, no, yeah, much appreciated. I always tell my clients, like, sellers hate to see this guy coming because you are very like particular.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you want from an inspector though, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I wasn't in this business, it's exactly what I would want. So we just try to mirror that in everything we do.
Yeah, I think.
And we don't try to be unreasonable with what we do, but I mean, if you're going to do a job, you might as well try to do it really well. And so we just try to be as thorough as we can. So everything's out in the open. There's no surprises. At the same time, I mean, we're humans. It's like we can't find every possible thing every time, but we can do a pretty dang good job at finding most of it.
Yeah. I mean, you've inspected like new construction for my clients, and and you still find a dozen things wrong with it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, really, there's no house that's totally perfect. There's always going to be something, but you know, some homes are just straight up better than others, just on how well they've been maintained. So, yeah, sometimes I mean, you've seen the difference in reports. Some are really long, and others are short and pretty sweet.
Yeah, we like the short ones.
I do too.
Yeah,
I don't ever like a long report, but sometimes that's just what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. But so as far as that goes, yeah, I mean, like, what are your favorite kind of houses? Like what makes you feel good when you're looking at a house?
So honestly, I think just when I go and inspect a house, and I always try to get a good sense of what the buyer's needs are. And as I'm inspecting the home, as I see it checking those boxes off, I get stoked because I'm like, dude, yes, this is what these people are looking for. And this might be the third house we've inspected for these guys, but this one is finally checking all the boxes. And I don't even care what kind of house it is, as long as it's meeting the criteria they need and it's like a super good, safe house. I'm excited.
So can you talk more about that? When you say like a super good, safe house, what are the main things that like need to be in place? What are the deal breakers?
Sure. So, I mean, going back to what your podcast is, Buy the Ugly House, I don't care what the house looks like. If it's structurally sound, if all the systems in the home are performing the way they should, and it's safe to live in, I mean, all the cosmetic stuff can come later. So as long as all the major systems of the home are functioning and you're not looking at, you know, tens of thousands of dollars down the road, to me, that's a good house. So, because anyone can update it, you know, it doesn't have to be done overnight, but as long as that house is solid, I think that's what you want to look for.
And you told me a story earlier of a house where they did that exactly the opposite.
Unfortunately, that's usually the name of the game because, and I hate to sound this way, like I don't want to sound negative, but whenever, and I'm sure most inspectors would agree, when we go into a home that we know has been flipped, it's like, okay, this is purely for money. Where were the corners that were cut? And I don't get all enamored by, you know, baseboards and new flooring. It's like, okay, that's all nice, but let's make sure that the most important stuff was addressed. So that house I was referring to, yeah, when I walked in the front door, I was like completely shocked because the quality of the remodel was so good. I mean, it was like over the top finishes, nice flooring, you know, large profile baseboards, just like super nice appliances and cabinetry and tile and quartz, everything. I was just like, man, I'm amazed they put this much money into this house. And it was like going so well. And I thought, this is not what I was expecting in this part of town, because I'm pretty familiar with that street and some other ones. And then as soon as I got down into the crawl space, that's where it just went south. Everything important that should have been done was completely just left unchecked. And so, and it was like major, I mean, the heaviest structural issues I've ever come across in 10 years were in that house. And unfortunately, what they did was they excavated the crawl space, which used to be this big, just enough to keep the joists out of the dirt and run some ductwork. And they dug it down 5.5, 6 feet. And this was a really old house that had a native, volcanic stone foundation. And they dug right up next to it with no support. And so like all of the east foundation wall had lost all of its support. There was like 35 feet of the wall that had no footing anymore. It was just gone. And then the center footing down the center of the home, that's like got all the joists on both sides resting on it. They tunneled up to that and it all caved out. And it's just like a ticking time bomb because all the stone is falling out. And it's just like when that final one goes, like the whole center of the house is just dropping in.
That house is just ready to collapse in on itself.
I wouldn't even crawl past it because I'm like, this is about ready to go. Like,
that's crazy.
I'm not feeling that lucky.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I wasn't feeling confident that I wouldn't just get killed. If
you like go back upstairs, you're thinking light thoughts.
I was. I was like walking around all confident. And then I saw that and I was just like, ugh. Tiptoeing around the house. Like I was afraid I was going to finish it off.
That's crazy.
So yeah, you just never know.
Yeah. This is like so good for me to hear as, not only an agent, but also an investor. I've moved like towards kind of the investing space a lot more over the last year as well. And I think that's really important. I'm gonna internalize this and remember to look at things like that. If I'm going in and like looking to buy a house to renovate it, obviously you've only got so much margin, right? Mm-hmm. Based on what you're paying for the house, right? You can only get the ARV, the after repair value, so high. So you've got this much budget to work with. Where do you spend those dollars? And, it sounds like it needs to be more of a priority for more investors to focus on things that truly matter.
Right. Yeah. And that was the unfortunate scenario with that house is now they've sunk who knows how much into the main level. And now, I mean, you could probably double that number just on making the house structurally sound. So
that's tough.
Like what happens with that deal? You know, like someone's going to really be stuck with kind of a rough scenario.
Yeah.
So of course we never want to see that. So yeah, like if I was doing an inspection for an investor, in a lot of those inspections, we do more of the basic inspection because like the 5-point that we talk about.
Yeah.
Where we're not worrying about all the cosmetic stuff.
Because it's ugly. It's we know it's an ugly house.
And that's the nice thing is it's like, hey, this is an investment or we're going to flip this. Then let's not get all into the weeds with the cosmetic stuff that really at the end of the day doesn't matter that much. Let's focus on the main stuff. So if I was in your shoes and I was walking through a home, looking at buying it to flip it or turn it around, I'd be looking at the foundation first. So if you think of the top and the bottom, the foundation and the roof, those are two really expensive systems of the home that if they're bad, I mean, a roof can be 20 grand and the foundation repairs, I mean, like on that one house, probably 70.
Wow.
So, I mean, those are two big ticket items right there. The next thing too, depending on the age of the home would be like the electrical system. So on some of the older homes, they had like Zinsco is a brand of electrical panel that they used to use, and they had a huge recall on those panels, and they're like considered fire hazards. So in an inspection, even though it might function properly, because there's a known history with certain products, like when we call those out, that could be pretty expensive as well. So if you walk into an old home and they've updated the electrical, they've got rid of, say, the galvanized piping that was original to the house that was all corroded out and ran PEX, and then the foundation looks good, and everything's structural, like to me, that's a great house to start with.
On the plumbing side, what's your stance on copper pipes?
Copper's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. I
mean, if they skip the galvanized, if it can be like kind of older with copper or updated with PEX.
Exactly. Yeah. Copper's a great product. And some of the things you can run into are like pinhole leaks, with copper. But if I had to choose between a house that had galvanized or copper, I'd take copper all day, because galvanized, it has a shelf life, 70 years, we'll just say on average. And
we're hitting that with
with a lot of these homes. And then you've got really hard water in Idaho Falls and Ammon, and that does take a toll on those pipes as well. So usually when you go and you turn on a faucet or the tub and you just see, granules, and you see all types of particulate coming out and just rust, like usually that's a pretty clear sign that those pipes are seeing better days. So
yeah,
that's, if I was walking through a house, I would just turn the water on and just see what comes out.
Got it.
Especially if it's been sitting for a bit.
Yeah. If it's been vacant, then
it's actually to your advantage, because no one's been able to flush anything. So you'll kind of see behind the scenes, like, all right, what are these pipes really looking like? Because that can be an expense too if you have to replace all the piping.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Carly earlier, and she was like, man, like, on these, even if you can't inspect it as part of like a contingency, it might still be worth getting a 5-point, just so you know where to spend that first 10 grand on your flip to get ahead of like major issues.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, because you could be thinking, all right, well, maybe flooring and baseboards, and then after the inspection, it's like maybe these rotted floor joists.
Yeah,
it could be just a totally different, direction that you end up going because of it.
Yeah. So back to like retail buyers, because obviously that most of my clients they're just trying to find a place to live.
Sure.
And depending on the results of an inspection, we're almost always going to ask for some sort of repairs.
Mm-hmm.
We're almost never just going to take the house as is.
Right.
Because there's always something, little plumbing and electrical stuff, GFCIs. A tub doesn't drain fast enough, right?
And those are all pretty easy things.
Yeah, and it's no big deal to ask the seller, like, hey, when I made this offer at this price, that was assuming that all of these systems are functioning correctly.
Exactly.
Right? Cosmetic stuff, not so much, because you should, a reasonable person should be able to see the general state of the house when they're walking through it and name their price, name their offer based on that, already taking that into account, right? But it's not reasonable to expect that, we crawled up into the attic and made sure there was enough insulation, right?
Yeah.
In a casual showing, we're not doing these things.
Yeah. Yeah. In the 15 minutes you're there,
you're
not usually bringing a ladder with you.
Right. And it's one of 20 houses that we looked at over the course of, 4 weeks. It's like,
that's what you hire a professional to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to go up in that nasty attic. You do it.
Right.
Let's hire this guy to do it.
Yeah. You do every so often. You've got a buyer that, they're a handyman, or like they bring their dad who worked in construction, and he's basically doing an inspection on every house, walking through it.
Yeah.
And half the time he's wrong about half of what he says, I
do love those guys though, because usually we end up on the same page, and it's like we're just working together on it.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I think there's like a lot of people think, oh, the buyer's dad showed up with a clipboard and he's got some type of grudge with the inspector. But usually it's like, dude, we are on the same team. Let's go do this together.
Yeah.
And so usually we end up making some pretty good friendships in those scenarios.
That's cool.
And the more eyes, the better,
Yeah.
The more people looking at it, it never hurts.
Yeah. And if you've got somebody on the other end of the conversation that understands things a little bit better than the average buyer, you can collaborate and then know that, that the buyer's protected and well taken care of.
Yeah. And that probably helps negotiations too, because like from our end, usually when we see a deal not working out, it's really not because of the report. It's the fact that two people just will not get on the same page together.
Mm.
And so, and a lot of times that happens because either party just is not as informed on those things, or they're just not as knowledgeable on it. So they don't fully understand why those things are important or need to be done. But yeah, if you've got either side that understands that, and that's one thing we try to do with inspections is educate the buyer, so that we don't just say, here's everything we called out, have fun with that. It's like, okay, here's what we called out. Here's why this is important. Yeah, we called these other things out, but I'm really not worried about those. And I think the more knowledge people have going into it, it should make everything just go smoother.
Yeah. As an agent, I always just defer to you.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're going to explain these things better than I can. You understand them way better than I do. My job is to be a negotiator. There's certain things that I do really well.
Mm-hmm.
And, the longer that I've been doing this, obviously I get better at, I've learned a lot from you. you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, the more reports you see, it's like, oh, okay, I remember why this is an issue.
Right.
We've seen this before.
Yeah. And so
I'm
I have to
sure.
call you less often with dumb questions of my own.
Oh no, I'm always happy to answer questions. But no, I mean, yeah, you've learned a ton just in the short time. I mean, what's it been, 2 years now?
It's been, yeah, three going on 4 years, actually. I think
Man,
2022.
that's gone by fast.
Yeah. It's been,
But yeah, I mean, I look at the confidence you have in this now, and it's like, it's awesome to see.
hey, thanks, man.
Yeah. Like because I don't know, like a lot of people, they can be in the industry for a long time and they just don't really seem to want to absorb some of this. But you, on the other hand, I've just seen you like almost like hungry for it. Like, why is this an issue? I want to see, and then like our conversations, it's like a really informed conversation about why these issues are legit. So anyway, kudos on that, because that's awesome to work with an agent like yourself when there's like a real effort being made to understand kind of our side of the issue. So
I appreciate that a lot, man, because it means a lot to me to take really good care of my clients. And so, from day one, I've always tried to learn, absorb, like get better and better and better.
Oh yeah, it shows.
Cool.
It shows. So good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there's a lot that I could talk to you about. One thing that I really want to get into is just, kind of like a first-time buyer looking at their very first inspection report. Without fail, I end up doing damage control, right? Because your first inspection report, if your house is more than 10 years old that you just put an offer on, it is an eye-opening experience.
It is.
You see an inspection report and it's like, I thought this house looked beautiful. I thought everything was great.
Yeah.
There's 30 things broken. I need to get out of this deal. This is, people get terrified.
Oh, they panic.
Yeah. And that's another thing that, you get better at getting ahead of, and I always have this conversation with my first time buyers before the inspection report comes out. Like, hey, just so you know, you're going to see this and
just kind of brace them for it.
Yeah. But so from your perspective, right? What should actually, because there's been a few times when we've gotten a report and there's no question, we need to terminate this deal.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, though, some sort of negotiation can happen. And sometimes it's really expensive for the seller. Your guy Thurman, he inspected a house for one of my buyers. This was like last month or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up getting, I think, like 30 grand worth of repairs.
Wow.
Where, it was like, hey, there are some serious issues here. They definitely need to be addressed. But let's see if the seller will take care of it. You never know, right? And we didn't expect it to go anywhere. It's like, hey, here's our list of demands. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be a fun conversation between that listing agent and their seller.
Right.
But they agreed to everything because they realized it's like, hey, here's the report. You can call Kip if you want to. You can call Thurman, but you now know about these things.
Mm-hmm.
And your next buyer, they're going to want them done too. If you want to sell this house, this is going to have to get addressed.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to address it now or 6 months from now when it's back on the market and maybe you don't have a buyer right away?
Yeah.
So that's awesome that they did that.
Yeah. And I hope you update your disclosures because you know that this is an issue now.
Yeah. Now you know about the mold.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Yeah. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say maybe you didn't know about it the first time you filled them out. But
yeah. Yeah. Funny how that wasn't checked on the disclosure, but
yeah,
now it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that was helpful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of times, I mean, our interaction with the client is fairly short. We go in, we do the job, we talk to them after, and half the time we don't even know if that deal closed or not. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, hey, we found it. It's like, oh, I didn't realize you didn't buy that one.
Yeah.
So like,
you saved us.
Well, yeah, it's always interesting just to see how some of those go.
Yeah.
Like just to hear kind of after like, oh yeah, it worked out awesome. Because there's been some that we've inspected where I thought there's just no way they're going to buy this. There's no way the seller is going to do any of this. Because you just look at the price tag, you're just kind of running it in your head like, man, I'm at like 50K now with just this stuff. Right. And then it turns out they were like really motivated. Like, no, we just need to get out of this scenario. Like we'll do it all. Yeah. Kind of like those people. So
exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
Rare, but
don't be afraid to try to negotiate.
Never hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then, and here's the other thing. any older home is going to have issues,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can go all around town and find you the perfect place over and over and over, and we can keep getting inspections done, and you're going to keep finding things wrong. At a certain point, it's like, okay, if the foundation is sound, and I'm not going to have to, you as the buyer aren't going to have to spend, tens of thousands of dollars. What can we negotiate? Don't be afraid to ask.
Mm-hmm.
At least give it a shot.
We've worked with some, like there's a lady that comes to mind. I think we did last year 5 or 6 inspections for her. And it was like the first house we did, I mean, right out of the gate, there was like a bunch of heavy hitters. The foundation was pretty hammered. All the cast iron was completely corroded through and cracked and dripping. I mean, it was like every system of the house was just so far beyond being maintained or where it should have. I mean, it should have been repaired years and years ago. And so ultimately she backed out. And then it was like the next house we inspected, it was even worse.
Man.
And we're like, okay, third time's a charm, even worse. And so finally,
so she knew how to pick them. She just,
well, it was just like, oh, I like the charm of it, but it was like, okay, I'm not sad about the business, but at the same time, I don't want to keep taking your money. Like, let me help you out here. So I ended up spending probably an hour with her on the phone, and we did a FaceTime, and I said, just look, let me show you. Next time you're walking through a house, these are the items right away. Go and look at these before you look at any of the other fancy stuff.
Before you look at cosmetics.
It's going to save you a ton of money, because as much as I like working with you, I don't want to keep taking hundreds and hundreds of dollars every other week, So
yeah,
I mean, maybe some people would. I just didn't feel good about it. So
no,
I tried to spend some time with her and just really educate her. And then it was a period of, I don't know, 3 months. I didn't hear from her. And then she's like, okay, I did everything. I looked at all these things with the list. I think I got the right. And it was awesome.
Nice.
So, and it was the oldest house of them all, but it just checked all the boxes. Everything was like squared away. So I was like, oh, good.
That's cool. And so, and just for the listeners, what's that checklist? What's the 3 main things they want to look at first?
Foundation is going to be number 1. So you want to make sure, because that's, you can just burn money so quick on structural issues with the house. A lot of times, if it's like really heavy structural issues, you might have to get a structural engineer involved, and they're not cheap. And so, if you're looking at a house and you're seeing like significant cracking through the foundation, you're seeing like significant cracking through, if it's, an older home, lath and plaster, tons of sloping with the floors. A lot of times too, when you're looking at the ridge of the roof, if there's a huge, like a smile to it, or just the sagging ridge, or it's bowing, like to me, when I look at that right away, it's just like kind of a red flag. Like, okay, if we're seeing this up here, there's got to be something below that's causing that. So you just kind of follow it down.
I was looking at a potential flip the other day, and you walk into this house, and kind of what you said, that the floor is sloping everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like throughout the whole, and this is a 2-story house, right? So you walk upstairs, and it's like just something's off about this.
You're walking up, you're walking down.
Yeah. Well, and so go outside and kind of, I'm trying to look at the perimeter. It was a stick-built house, but they had it up on blocks like a tray, like it didn't have a foundation.
That is weird.
Yeah. Yeah. There was no like a fixed foundation. It was just this.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And, and going back to that, I mean, with an older home, 80 to 100 years old, there's going to be settling that just happens over time. And a lot of those homes, like the older homes, they were initially really small, and they've been added onto over the years. And so because that addition has settled at a different rate than the original portion of the home, you might feel some of those transitions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the home is failing. But when you're looking down a hallway and you're just like, feel like you're walking through a carnival fun house, you're like, what in the world is going on? Like, those are definitely things to pay attention to. But a little bit of variation in the floor in an old home, that's pretty standard. But when it's like, when you can roll a marble from one end of the house to the other and it's just going every which way, that's usually a pretty good sign that there's more going on.
Got it. Yeah. And then would you say sign of the same thing with like some cracking in the ceiling, like depending on?
Yeah, lath and plaster in older homes, I mean, it's just prone to cracking over time. And a lot of times the ceilings would get so bad in those, they would actually fur it down and frame in a new ceiling out of drywall just because the original one was in such bad condition. So that's expected. But you'll kind of know it's like, okay, here's some little spider web cracks. Those are pretty normal. But when you see huge separations, around windows and doors where nothing lines up anymore, you can't open the window because it's being pinched, or the door no longer shuts because the whole jamb is off. Like, that's where you start to really notice the big issues.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, because we've got a fair amount of older homes, in
Oh
Idaho
yeah.
Falls.
There's a lot.
Getting to be. Yeah, like even on the numbered streets and like Bel Air and stuff, you've got houses that were built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and a lot of those houses are still in such great condition.
They are. And and that's the cool thing about them is like they've stood the test of time. And as long as the owner just does normal maintenance on it, I mean, those things will last forever.
Yeah. We've kind of bonded over our love for 70s homes in particular.
Oh, I love them. Yeah. 60s and 70s, any of that mid-century. Like my home was built in 78, and we looked at a bunch of different homes when we were looking at it, brand new construction, and we just kept going back to that one because it was just built so well. And there were, it was a little bit outdated. And so we were like, okay, well, this home is solid. Like, it's in really good condition. The owner's taking great care of it. Down the road, we can remodel this thing and make it how we want. And that's exactly what we've done.
I definitely want to talk to you about just like when a buyer's looking at an inspection report, what should be going through their mind, and when should they try to negotiate and when should they just walk away?
Yeah. So kind of like what we were just talking about, I think as a buyer, if you can try to take a lot of the emotion out of it, it's like, okay, we're really pumped on this house. Now we've got to kind of change hats now and look at this like an actual business negotiation, because this is an investment for us. At the end of the day, we're not in a position to make a bad deal.
Yeah.
And so
I harp on about this because shopping for a home is very emotional.
It is.
But like buying a house is incredibly financial.
Well,
we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The whole deal from both sides is so like, that was actually one thing that was kind of surprising to me when I got into this industry, was like how emotional real estate really is.
Oh yeah.
Because you get from us usually an offended seller.
Yep.
I mean, it's a weird job. It's like the better you are at your job, the more someone's going to be mad at you
because you're just picking their house to shreds.
Cop, it's like
look at this dumb
law enforcement.
Who's been taking care of this place?
Yeah, and so that's one thing that we try really hard not to do, is to not get emotional about the house. I mean, I'm not going to go cry in someone's house. I mean, when I look into a horrible crawl space, like I might cry a little bit, like I have to go in there, But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we're just going to present the facts, and it is what it is. I mean, here's everything that we found out of this whole list. These are our top 5 things. These are the kind of the heavy, the heavy hitters, and the rest is just, stuff that can be done over time. And so I think as a buyer, kind of being able to do that same thing, like, okay, we're really excited about this house. Now we have this report. Let's kind of calm down a little bit. Let's really analyze this and say, at the end of the day, as much as we love this place, is this like really the right fit? And I think if you can take that emotion out of it and just make a super smart decision, even if you love the place with all your heart, but it's just not the right deal for you.
And please always be willing to walk away.
You have to.
Yeah. One of my mantras as an agent is there is always another house. And I try to remind my clients that, guys, I know this feels like the perfect fit and we had to look at so many places to find it.
Yeah.
There is always another house.
What's really interesting is a lot of times we'll do multiple inspections for the same client.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, our heart was set on this first house. And then we go find out it's just a nightmare. And they're super bummed out. And we're really confident in what we do. So like, I don't have an issue actually taking a stand and saying, I know you're excited, but like, I really want you to consider these things because this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And usually it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. That's just not going to work.
And hopefully the agent is
Adam's going to show us 5 more houses. And almost every single time the second house is such a better deal. It checks all the boxes. It's a better house all the way around. And it's like, oh, thank heavens.
Yeah. And they're so glad that they didn't buy the house that they were so emotionally invested
times,
in.
Like,
they
I'm
thought was
so
the
happy I dodged that bullet.
Yes.
So yeah, I think, and yeah, just like you said, there's always going to be another house out there. And so just don't be afraid to keep looking. I think patience is the best thing. That's the best attribute you could have.
Yeah.
Just be willing to wait it out if you need to. I mean, there's certain deals. It's like, you got to make it happen. if it's a good deal and you got to jump on it, sometimes you just have to do it.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, if it's just not the right fit, like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't settle.
Sometimes, yeah, the buyer's
That's your
circumstances.
hard-earned money you're putting into that house. So
yeah,
make sure it counts.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The buyer's circumstances sometimes people, like whatever, the lease is up and they think they have to be out in 30 days and so we've got like a week to find them the perfect place. Like sometimes it works that way, but like it's also important sometimes like, hey, if we don't happen to find the right deal, like understand that, maybe there's a scenario where we get you a storage unit and you stay with family for a while. Like it's never, I'm not going to say never, but it's often not as urgent as we feel like it is.
I agree. And like, yeah, if you've got to get a storage unit for $60 for the month and go crash in your parents' basement
to save 50 grand on rushing into the wrong deal, and then
yeah, that little bit of inconvenience will be the best inconvenience you ever had versus buying a house that for the rest of your ownership of it, it is nightmare after nightmare. Like, that's not very fun.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah. It's like when you buy a lemon, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, every week it's in and out of the shop.
Oh, it just makes you hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now imagine that's your house.
You're living there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might as well be haunted at that point. You're just going to hate living there.
Yeah.
It's going to take all the fun and excitement of home ownership and just, it's gone.
So speaking of haunted houses, because you've inspected a lot of homes, I'm sure you've run across some haunted ones at this point.
For sure.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, we are going into all kinds of properties, super old ones right across from the cemetery. They've been vacant for a while. And it's not common, but there's definitely been some weird, like unexplainable stuff to where, I mean, the second stuff starts going down in the house, you're just like, how am I going to finish this? Like, I'm terrified to be in here and I still have to do my job. Like, I can't just put on the report there were ghosts and I had to bail. Like, yeah. I got to just suck it up. But
there maybe should be a spot on the disclosures for that.
Man, there's a couple that I'm like, have fun with that. I can't put a ghost on my report, but someone's going to find out eventually.
One of my my handymen, actually, she asked me to bring her sage at one of these houses that we just finished up with. It was like, I woke up to that morning. She's like, hey, like I've been over here last night. The lights keep shutting off. Like, I swear I heard a door slam and then somebody grabbed my leg while I'm on this ladder.
Oh my gosh.
I need you to bring me sage. And it was like, okay, like I dropped everything. I went to Mystic Misfits. I bought some sage. I dropped it off. Like, we are smudging this house right now. And sometimes that's part of the renovation. It's just got to get the ghost out.
So there's one that comes to mind, and I don't want this to sound weird, but like, I was 100% convinced. I'm like, yeah, this house is haunted as heck. So I was in the upstairs of this house and I had turned on the furnace. This is an old house, like 20s house. And it was like 4 doors down from the cemetery, just right here, kind of Totfist Park area. Mm. And so anyway, down in the basement, you've got like it's just a switch that you can actually shut the power off to the furnace if you need to work on it. It's just a safety disconnect. So I turn the thermostat up, kicks on. I'm waiting for it to heat up, and I'm inspecting the bathroom, and then I'm like, oh, I don't feel the heat. Go down there, the switch is off. I'm like,
no,
what the heck? So I was like, how could it have even turned on? So I flip it back on. Immediately, it fires up and starts running. And I get to the top of the stairs and I hear click. And I'm like, no way. Like,
no.
That switch doesn't trip like a breaker. It's just a switch. So I go back down and I'm using my flashlight. It's this really creepy, dark, just basement that horror movies are made of. I flip it back on and I'm sitting there waiting. I'm like watching it. I'm like, I'm going to see this thing move. If it's like an issue with the switch, I'm going to call it out. Doesn't move. I go back upstairs. And I'm like, okay, where was I at? Oh, yeah, testing all the hot water. So I'm in the bathroom. And so the bathroom door opens into the hallway, and like 3 feet beyond that is the end of the hall with a bedroom door. And so I've got the hot water on the sink running. I've got the tub running, and I'm just going to record some temperatures just so everyone can see the hot water is good. And out of the corner of my eye, it almost felt like someone walked past me. I felt like the air move. And so I looked up in the mirror, and I kid you not, I saw a person standing in the doorway
No.
And they were like, I just caught them glimpse and then move out of my sight. And I turned around so fast. And I was like, there's a freaking person in here. Like, they could have touched me. So I all I had was like my screwdriver. So I like pull that out of my belt, and I've got that in my flashlight. I'm like, oh, it's on. Like, if this is some creep that's sneaking up on me.
Yeah.
And I jump into the room, and it's just like the blinds are all shut, the closet door's shut, and I'm like, don't tell me they're in the closet.
Oh my God.
So I slide it open and like ready, and I'm like, there's no one in here. And so, and it was at that point, I'm like, I'm definitely not alone in this house right now.
Wow.
And so I finished up. I mean, I didn't rush it because I'm like, I'm not going to rush this inspection, but it was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was just like looking over my shoulder, like, I don't want to see. I just need to get this done.
Right. That's almost when you call Thurman. You're like, hey, dude, I need a partner on this one. I can't be the only person in this house right now.
Oh, I mean, I've seen doors slam on their own. I've heard footsteps in the the floor above me. I mean, it's just bound to happen with volume. If you're in enough houses, there's enough weird ones out there that it's like, okay, well, someone's still here.
Yeah. This studio was actually built in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And Melissa and the crew could tell you some stories about.
We were talking about that
some
earlier.
Ghost stories that have happened in here as well.
It keeps it exciting. I mean, I don't know. I find that kind of stuff fascinating. So I don't like dive into it and go after it, but
you have a couple things happen, and it's hard to.
It is hard. It's once you've experienced it, you're really curious about it.
Yeah.
And so I don't ever hope that the house is weird, but when it is, it's kind of funny. You're like, oh, maybe that would be kind of cool. And then it happens. You're like, no, this isn't cool. This is actually scary.
Interest lost.
Yeah. I'm not that tough.
I don't need to be in the middle of it. Yeah. We'll watch it on Ghostbusters.
I can lock the door and it's not going to matter.
Or not Ghostbusters. What's the show?
Ghost Adventures?
Hunters. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah. Zach Bagans. And
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely had some weird experiences over the years, but
cool.
Keeps it exciting.
Yeah. So on a similar but different note, I know you've walked into some wild situations in houses.
Yeah.
What would you say is the craziest thing you've come across at an inspection?
Hands down, a fully operating meth lab. So it
operating?
Was like, while I was there was stuff cooking on burners and surgical tubing. So I went, it was this really crappy, it was like a 20s house that had been butchered up into like a 2.5 plex. It was like a downstairs and upstairs and this weird little makeshift like studio type thing in the back that wasn't really livable. And so when I got to this place, there was like busted down furniture all throughout the yard. And I was like, oh gosh, it's one of these, like this is going to be a rough one. And so I walk up and there's this dude just kind of tweaking out, and he's on the stairway that goes up to his portion. And I don't know what he was doing. There was like bird seeds spilled all over the stairs, and he's like one by one picking them up. And I'm like, bro, just get a freaking broom. Like, you got all the time in the world. Just each little thing and putting it in this little bowl. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So honestly, I love all people. Like, some of my favorite areas to work are the roughest parts of town because I just love meeting all kinds of people.
Yeah.
I find it, I don't know, it's just awesome. So, I'm just like, hey bro, what's going on? And he's just like, oh, are you here for the inspection? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, can you start downstairs? I've got some drug stuff I don't want in your pictures. And I'm like, sure. Like, thanks for being honest about it. So I was like, yeah, I'll start downstairs because it was vacant.
He must have known you're a pretty chill guy if he's opening with that.
Well, it was like, it kind of shocked me because I was thinking like, is he joking? And then I was looking at the bird seeds. And I'm like, no, I think he's probably telling the truth.
He's badass right now.
Yeah. So finally, I'm like pretty much wrapping up the downstairs, and he's like, hey, I got a split. It's unlocked. And I was like, I'm really curious what I'm going to find. I was thinking maybe there'd be a bong or a pipe laying out.
Right.
Normal stuff. That
we've all run across a little, half loaded bowl somewhere that somebody left behind.
Yeah. And it's like, I could care less. It's like, whatever. It's not my house. So I go up and I'm trying to open the door, and I'm like, what? And I'm pushing this thing open, and I finally force it open, and it's like a hoarder's house.
Oh man.
So there's like a little trail you could walk kind of through the living room, and it's just like trash and clothing and all kinds of weird stuff from around town just piled in this house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. So I'm walking around, and then there's like this bedroom door that's kind of shut a little bit. And I look over to where the laundry room used to be, and it's no joke. It's piled from the floor to the ceiling with like empty brake cleaner bottles, empty acetone, like 1 gallon jugs just piled in this room. And I'm just looking at it like, okay, like that's a crazy amount of those products. Like no one has this.
Yeah. That's like Diddy's baby oil. Like nobody should have that much.
Right. Yeah. You don't need 55-gallon drums of that ever.
Like we're up to something here.
So I go and I kind of push the door open, and there's all these tables set up, and it's a full blown like cook operation.
Wow.
So they've got like multiple hot plates, all this makeshift cookware with like surgical tubing and hoses going from thing to thing. And then there's like glass trays with like full blown like glass looking meth, like all broken up on it. And I'm like, what in the Walter White is going on in this house?
What was he like? You said he went in there first to try and hide this
So
stuff.
I'm like,
what did he do?
That's what I was like.
What did he hide? That's what he left there.
I know, right? It's like, what? Yeah, was it the fentanyl press or whatever? Like, what did he actually move out of there? Because it was
What's
like,
the part he didn't want you to see?
It was like operating, like it was hot, and the room was like stifling hot in there, and the fumes were so gnarly it just like burned. It was like sniffing one of those ammonia capsules if you pass out. I don't like those sniffing salts.
Yeah, smelling salts.
Lifting.
Yeah,
the smelling salts. I don't know if you've ever taken a whiff one. It was like, oh, like you walk in and your eyes like turn inside out just about. And I'm looking around and I'm like, dude, I shouldn't even be in here.
No. Yeah.
This place could blow up.
Right.
And so anyway, I ended up just like leaving, and I called the investor. He was an out-of-state guy. And I was like talking to his as I'm driving off. I'm like, dude, I cannot continue in this place. And so I was merging onto the freeway at Lindsay Boulevard, just crossing over the river, like heading north. And immediately I get pulled over by an ISP guy.
Oh man.
And I'm like, oh, what?
Don't bring the drug dogs out today. Well, I definitely smell like something.
And so I'm on the phone with the guy. I'm like, hold on, I'm getting pulled over. I don't even know why.
I might be high right now.
Oh, right. And so he pulls me over, and he comes up, and I was like, you got me. Like, I don't even know what I did. And he was like, oh, you signaled for 3 seconds instead of 5. And I'm like, bro, come on. Like, okay. And so, and he was like legit going to write me a ticket. And he's like, can I get this and that? I'm like, here you go. And he comes back, and I was like, I got a deal for you. I said, I just got done. I'm talking to this investor, and I was inspecting this property, and it has a meth lab in it. I will airdrop you the pictures and videos if we can just kind of cancel this whole deal. And he was like, really? Where at? And I'm like, on the corner of such and such. So I airdrop it to his phone, and he peels out of there, and off I went.
No ticket.
No ticket.
Hey, that was a good day to find a meth lab.
Right, exactly. Never have I seen one since. And then I saw in like East Idaho news like that weekend there was a big bust, and I was like, oh, that was the place.
Yeah.
So anyway, whoever that guy was, you're welcome for the drug lead.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for your
thanks
service.
for letting me out of the ticket.
You're helping clean up the neighborhood.
Yeah. There's a symbiotic relationship there. So.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. I've talked about, how like flipping and investing can help, clean up neighborhoods and stuff. That is a whole new level.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, we do meth testing with our job, not a ton, but Utah's so heavy with that stuff that usually if it's a Utah investor, they're like, I want a meth test, but it's never, if it's kind of a rougher property that's been a duplex or any type of run, it's never a bad idea. For what it costs, a couple $100 to make sure. Because if you buy a property that has had manufacturing in it, it can just be the worst deal you've ever bought. Yeah. Because you have to take that thing back to the studs usually. Right. So it's always something to think about. I think we're going to see more of that because Utah, I almost think just about every transaction down there has a meth test now. Wow. It's just gotten that bad. And we've definitely seen an uptick just in our neck of the woods here. And just talking to local PD, they're like, oh yeah, it's getting worse. Really? So it's just kind of creeping up the 15. Man. So anyway.
Yeah.
Something to always think about.
Yeah, that's good to know.
I've tested a couple in Blackfoot and they came back pretty hot.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the buyer was like, don't even want to touch it. I live in Utah and I know what this is.
Right.
Like, okay.
So food for thought.
Food for thought. Just be aware if it's a little bit, and there's certain things you can always look for that indicate meth use or manufacturing in a home. And you can Google those. It'll give you a list of all these little points to kind of pay attention to if you're walking through a house.
Okay.
And that's never a bad idea, just to keep in your back of your mind, like, man, this place really smells horrible and there's holes punched in every single wall and door. That's not normal.
Yeah.
Like there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And there's a couple others, but definitely it's never bad information just to keep in the back of your mind if you're looking at, that type of property.
Absolutely. All right, Kip, before I let you go today, can you tell everybody how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, we are pretty easy to get a hold of. So you can go to our website, which is spartaninspections.com, and contact. We've got all of the links to our socials and, of course, our phone number and email on there. You can text me direct, which is usually the quickest. So my number is 208-206-4343. And then you can look at us on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok even.
Yeah.
I haven't done much on there for a while, but it's usually we just kind of post the most dramatic stuff on there because that's what people like to see.
Gotcha.
But,
well, yeah, definitely give them a follow.
Yeah, give us a follow. And I don't know, we try to post helpful stuff. So if you're looking at a property, hopefully some of that's helpful. Always try to share little tips and tricks to help you maintain your house better. Because at the end of the day, like with our inspections, we're trying to paint not only a picture of like, this is currently what's wrong with the house, but we also try to forecast to maintain this house properly. Here's what's coming up in the next year or two. And so with that report, you can take that thing and use it for 2 years, just dialing in that house.
Yeah.
So we try to cover all the bases for people.
Awesome.
So anyway, pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you for coming.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. And if you guys have
fun.
questions for Kip, drop them in the comments and we'll probably have you come back for a follow-up episode.
Heck yeah. Let's do it. Totally down.
Okay. Well, this is Buy the Ugly House.
Buy it. Just do it.
Just do it.